Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, June 1st, 2015 City Council meeting. At this time, I will call the meeting to order, and Lieutenant Kenyon Civils from the Salvation Army, if you lead us in prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pray. God, we love you. We thank you for this gorgeous day. We pray for the men, the women in this room. We pray that you would bless them as they seek to oversee our city. God, we pray that as servants of you, that we would be salt and light in everything that we do, think, and say. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Shelley, if you want to do roll call for us. Thanks, Kenyon.
Albertson. Here. Bueller.
Here.
Danforth.
Here.
Manty. Here. Meisenheimer.
Here.
Riefenberger.
Here.
Roby.
Here.
Solom.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Wilkins.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get going. 7 o'clock. Number 1, approval of the consent agenda. I will need a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Bruce, second by Don. Is there any questions that you have on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, approval of our agenda. Got a motion by Randy. Second by Beth. Any questions or changes that anybody needs to make?
Mayor, can we, I don't know if we should do that or not, but on the old business, if we can maybe deal with the committee met on the fine thing for the parking, can we
Yes,
just
we will.
deal with that there? Okay.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, retail on-off sale, malt beverage license renewal for GAT Inc., doing business as Sportsman's Inn Casino at 2301 North Highway 20 for the period of July 1, 2015 to June 30th, 2016. Don's informed me that he will recuse himself from this vote. So at this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anyone here that wants to speak in favor of or against this action. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. I will look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Mike, second by Bruce. Any questions?
What's the purpose specifically?
For this one coming in for renewal versus have we had an issue that we need to be aware of?
These 3, number 3, 4, and 5, had issues, gosh, was it 6, 7 months ago?
Yeah, it was several months ago, yes.
Yeah, there was, I believe, underage selling at that particular time.
To your knowledge, we just have one issue. I guess it didn't say that any place in our paperwork that I saw.
Nope, that's all it is. It's just the one issue. Okay. At this time, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, package on off-sale malt beverage and South Dakota Farm Wine liquor license renewal for Spies Corporation, doing business as the Cowboy Country Store number 2 at 504 9th Avenue Southeast for the period of July 1, 2015 to June 30th of 2016. At this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anyone that wants to speak in favor of or against this. I will close the public hearing. I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Russ, second by Dan. Any questions on this particular one? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, retail on-off sale malt beverage license renewal for Spies Corporation, doing business as the Cowboy Country Stores number 2 at 504 9th Avenue Southeast for the period of July 1, 2015 to June 30th of 2016. At this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anyone that wants to speak in favor of or against this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Randy, second by Al. Any questions on this particular one? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, application for a location transfer of an inactive retail on-off sale malt beverage license from My Place Casino LLC at 600 Crystal Court Northwest to Cloud 9 Golf Course, Inc. at 625 20th Avenue Southeast. At this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anyone who wants to speak in favor of or against this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Al,
Second.
second by Mike. Is there any questions on this particular one?
Mayor, I had one question. This is 600 Crystal Court Northwest. Is that a residential? This is
It's
an active
actually-
Yes,
license?
I believe
It-
it's in Millbank.
it's
Wasn't it?
here. It's an inactive license, and usually when they make them inactive, they move them to their home, their residence.
Okay.
And basically, that's what it is. It's the same person, is My Place Casino LLC and Cloud 9 Golf Course, Inc. It's the same people, they just want to get it out of their residence, and they want to move it to the Cloud 9, but it's going to remain inactive, it won't be used.
That was my question, so.
So it's
I'm
going,
sorry, I looked at this and I seen the owner's name under A was in Millbank, South Dakota.
They are, Harms Incorporated is their original residence in
Right.
Millbank, so.
so this is not going to, this is staying at the same place that it was when it was active. Is that correct or not correct?
No.
So how do we know that they aren't going to use this at this street address?
Because at the state, it will remain inactive. It's an inactive license, and it will
So it'll
remain.
stay status-wise as inactive, so
Inactive,
they can't,
correct.
they would have to come back before us to bring
Yes.
it out to active.
What's
Yes.
the reason to switch it though from My Place to Cloud 9?
That I'm not sure. They just wanted to change the corporate name. It has all the same owners, the same shareholders. They just wanted it in this incorporated name versus
Just
this
some
LLC. and then-
housekeeping more than anything, probably.
They
Yeah,
had to
it was
so
their
they had to renew
request.
anyway? They had to go through the renewal anyway, so part of that they wanted, or they just,
No,
that
this
this
is.
wasn't even required?
Nope, it's not even a renewal because it's inactive. They're not using it. They basically just wanted to change the location.
Is there a limit on how long you can keep it a licensed inactive? 2 years?
Can they move it at that time? At the end of 2 years? Keep it inactive someplace else, or does it have to be transferred at that time?
It has to be turned active within 2 years.
Okay.
Wasn't there something about when the city took that land in, though, that golf course in, that the license would have to go inactive for a certain amount of time? Seems like I'm remembering, and then after.
For them to be able to, because it had a county license at that time,
Yeah.
They
And
would
now
have
they're
to
in the city and had to go inactive, but after.
well, it
2 or
wouldn't have to
3
go
years,
inactive, but it can't be sold
couldn't
as
be
an active
transferred for
license,
X number of
transferred to him.
years.
Stan, could you put your mic a little closer? We can't hear you.
The reason the council adopted the ordinance making it sit there for 3 years is because 2 years it could sit inactive, and so the council said, well, we want to make them have to use it at a location for at least a period of 1 year outside of the city limits.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, application for special retail on-off sale malt beverage and retail on-off sale wine license to Lake Area Zoological Society at 800 10th Street Northwest. At this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anyone here who wants to speak in favor of or against this. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. I would look for a motion in a second, but in the motion, I would ask that you include in the motion that there is a $300 fee for this license.
Mayor, I would make that motion.
I'll second that.
Well,
There
let
is a
me,
fee. Yeah. This is not the actual zoo, this is the Lake Area Zoological Society. It's nothing different than what we use for the chamber. 300.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the special license change and a fee of $300.
Okay, so I have a motion by Bruce, second by Russ. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, this is a second reading of ordinance number 1513, amending zoning district boundaries by zoning property located between Willow Creek Drive and Highway 212 to C3 Highway Commercial District. At this time, Jeff, do you want to put those pictures up for us since you're here? You're a good GIS guy. At this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anyone that wants to speak in favor of or against this. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing, and I will look for a motion and a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by, was
I
it
moved.
Dan, and second by Beth. And Jeff, can you just show us there quick, this is on the, this is the Morris property?
Yes, this property that's sketched in at red, it was annexed in 2007, but at that time, it wasn't given a zoning designation, and now they're requesting C3 highway commercial. It went by way of plan commission, and they recommended approval of the zoning.
Perfect. Is there, did I get I had a motion on it, so is there any questions you want for Jeff at this time, anybody?
Is this all of Morris's property then, or a portion of it?
This is their property.
Okay.
Yep, that's all of it. Okay, not hearing any more questions, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 9, second reading of ordinance number 1514, temporarily amending the zoning district boundaries by rezoning Bramble Park Zoo from A1 Agriculture District to C2 Local Commercial District. At this time, I will open the public hearing if there's anybody that wants to speak in favor of or against this. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and look for a motion and a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Randy. Second by Russ. Any questions on this one? What they're doing is rezoning this temporarily for the ability to have that license and the usage of it. No more questions? No questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Jeff. Number 10, first reading of ordinance number 1516, amending section 218023, regulating portable signs, 218024, regulating the off-premises signs, and 21.8014 exempt signs. This is a first reading. We normally don't have a lot of discussion. Tim is here if you folks have any questions. I know that you had gone through on this on the work session. Is there any questions anybody has? Otherwise, we'll move forward.
Steve, I do have some, Mayor.
Tim, you want to slide up here?
Yep. Well, I didn't print it off. First of all, one of them says that the sign has to be removed from the premises.
Yep.
So if I own a sign and I use it accordingly here, I physically have to remove it from the premises?
We would accept, I didn't know maybe the right way to write it, is it has to be removed from site, so if they would move it behind their building. What we do is we have a few places in town that just take the faces off and they sit there, and we wanted to get that to not happen, so that's what that language is going for.
I would rewrite it, because this clearly says it has to be removed from the premises, which
Yep.
is the property. I think that should be probably redone. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. It just needs to be out of sight, can't stay in its spot. But if I've got it, it should be in some back area somewhere that
Right.
I shouldn't have to remove it, I guess.
Just removal from
Frontage or?
viewable
public-
area?
I
From
was gonna say
public
from
view.
public view.
Yeah,
Public
okay,
view.
yep, that's an easy change.
Just a second, I'm trying to bring that up. What number are we on?
Number 10.
10, all right, let me pull that up here for a second.
I can go through real quick. My couple things we added from when we talked last time was we did the one that Bruce wanted to kind of clarify that it was one sign per frontage. The other thing we did is we put the transport structure, wheels and frame are excluded from the allowed 32 square foot thing, and that was just to clarify a little bit of some discussion that came out last time. The other part was the electric signs is just something that is part of our ordinance for any other kind of sign, so we just pulled that in so that would be, it'd be uniform across any kind of sign. It kept anybody from maybe altering a sign that's not to a standard, so that was, that's why we added that in.
Before you go past that, let's talk about 6 for a second. It says portable signs must be separated by not less than 50 feet. We are not going to allow off-premise signage, which I think is a huge step for us forward. Does it really matter if if that's in there, when they're gonna be on-premise signage?
I guess that's up to you guys. We kind of, it was a thing to maybe try and declutter some of the issue we had. And if you guys don't feel that that's necessary, we could easily strike that.
Well, if you got something that's got 300 foot of frontage, and they want to put up a sign every 50 foot,
Well, they can't, you only have one.
even on premise?
But if they had multiple signs on site or something where, I don't know. It's entirely up to you. We can strike it if you want.
Well, I'm just thinking if I have a sign on a post and I've got plenty of clearance there versus having another sign down the road, it might be closer to a entry or an exit area. I'm not sure it really matters on an on-premise scenario. I just thinking it could stay as it is, but I can see where there actually might be cases where it's beneficial to have it with the other side. Yeah. Number 4 talks about the prior to January 1 for the 32-foot requirement. That does mean between now and the 2017 that if somebody else wanted to either come into town and put signs up or make signs that are bigger, they could do that according to this, correct?
Yes, we talked about that after our last meeting, and Ken kind of advised that we could just do that administratively, where we would, I mean, not necessarily put that language in there, we would just handle that administratively, that the existing signs and the ones we've already permitted at this would be able to continue on that point.
Well, Dan, I don't want to play attorney, but if I'm coming in from out of town and I read this, it says I can do it.
Right, and if that matters to you, we can change that, I guess.
I don't, the intent, that whole requirement is based on one person. And we shouldn't allow more of them to come in with something that we don't want. So let's accommodate the one person, the one business, and that's what that whole thing is in there for. And then let's not allow any more, he can't produce any more of them, and if somebody wants to come into town, they can't bring them in, they've got to conform. We're trying to accommodate the gentleman because he just bought the
There's more
business.
than one. Yeah, I mean, you've got, ESCO has signs like that.
Well,
Leismore
whoever has
signs.
them should not be able to produce more of them than what they've got, and we certainly don't want somebody else coming into town. I don't,
Your point's well taken. Here's how I kind of resolve that in my mind, is that this thing ends, was it, January 1st, 2017?
year and a half.
Theoretically, or actually realistically, we could have somebody come in and put 20 of them up for a year, and it looked like heck for a year. But I got through it in my mind because I know at January 1 it's done. So we can put some more stricter rules in that, but if we can grin and bear it till January 1.
Well, I think part of it is anybody can invest any money into do it, they're knowing that it's not
Some
gonna
guy from out
pay
of town
off.
might bring a truckload in for something. That you could possibly have that.
And you're definitely going to let people know that if they're going to come to town and invest money in 60 square foot signs that on January 1 of 2017, they're not going to be allowed, so.
And we could add language, however, whatever you guys want me to do, I'll do whatever you.
Hey, Stan, I got a question for you. Would that be an issue at all for not allowing competition? I mean, would that be any type of a problem?
No,
I don't think we're not gonna
no, I
allow
think to Don's
competition.
point, that if somebody wanted to do that between now and January of 2017.
No, I'm saying if we worded it that you couldn't do that, could that be an issue?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that we should word an ordinance like that. I think that maybe what Tim does is modify these temporary permit applications so it says boldly on the face that be advised that as of January 1, 2017, the size of these temporary structures must be reduced to this many square feet. That way people who are getting these permits can't say we didn't tell them.
And I think to your discussion there, Mike, how are we gonna know they've got 5 or 10, or are we gonna put numbers on them, or put some kind of sticker on them to know that that's not, that they didn't make a new sign? I don't know if we wanna get into that minutia, let's just let it play out and it's over with.
On that, on numbers.
Yeah, we have a good idea of where they all are and who's got them.
I think we just take our chances that nobody else is gonna bring a load into town.
Well, the first time they come out for a permit, they're going to be notified that January 1 of 2017, it's 32 square foot, so.
In the instance where we've got a black temporary sign. We've got a couple of instances that I'm aware of where they're used as a regular sign. They don't have, they take the wheels off them. There's no loophole here that they can keep doing that.
It would have to abide by our standards for a permanent on-premise or permanent structure, and they would know it would. The only one that will be able to remain, and this is, I haven't done the research, this is what I was told by the individual, is the one at Wise Metals. That one was allowed to be put in when the sign ordinance got passed in 2006, 2007. It's hardwired in. It's not a cord that runs to that one that always is out there. And that was made to be a permanent sign on his property because it's part of his business and he uses it to advertise. That would be the only one that I'm aware of that would be allowed.
Okay, well, thanks, Tim. It is first reading, and you'll get that couple of little things changed around. And
Thanks, guys.
all right, very good. We will move on from number 10 to number 11, first reading of ordinance number 1517, amending the zoning district boundaries by zoning property south of Willow Drive to C3 Highway Commercial District. Jeff, you want to put that map back up there? This here would then be the Coho property next to the Moore's property. That's that little square right there, and then we will change that to C3 Annex and change that to C3, and that is Coho, am I correct?
Yes, you
Is
are.
there any questions on that you have for Jeff? This will come now, second reading in 2 weeks.
Correct.
This whole thing, it's interesting to see how this whole project is developing, and it's just gonna get ready to go for us, you guys. So, okay, any questions on that you have for Jeff?
Yeah.
And then
I'm okay with that.
You're not done yet, I don't think, are you? Okay, very good. We'll move on to number 12, plat of Golfview Estates, 11th edition, resolution number 1514. You want to explain that one for us, Jeff?
Sure. This is a plat for one lot that's located right here. And normally if it's a plat of just one lot, we could do this administratively. But there is one bullet in the administrative process that says that no plat can be part of an administrative plat within 3 years apart. And this one just to the north was administratively platted last year. So for that reason, we brought this one through the process. It went to Plan Commission. They recommended approval, and now it's being brought to you guys. It's zoned R1, and it meets all of the R1 zoning requirements.
Perfect. So I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion.
moved.
Motion by Dan, second by Beth. There's any questions that you have for Jeff?
So that area then, just one lot at a time gets plotted then?
Yeah, that's how they've been doing it since about 2006.
So then they can decide based on what somebody wants, what size they want to plot, so they don't have to have
Yep. I mean, there is a master plan, and for the most part, they have followed that. But yeah.
Jeff, you kind of hit me on the question I want to ask. What does the master plan dictate here, and are we deviating it by piecemealing it out like this?
We're not normally with a master plan. If we require a phasing that says when each section will be platted. This one was done, and it didn't require that phasing. It was done in 1997, so we didn't know what the phasing would be. But so far, I mean, they put the roads in right away. They put in 37th, 36th, and 12th Avenue within the first two plats, and since then they've just been filling in lots that have matched the master plan.
Yeah, this is nothing new. We've done this many times in the past.
Yep.
And the administrative part of it is they can add one, but they can't add another one for
Yep.
3 years. So now they have to come back each time that they put one in, even though it's platted out correctly, and now they have to come back.
Does this change though now, since this one's gone to the council, now you can do administratively the next one?
Well, the last one was done administratively in 2014, so I believe we won't be able to do another administrative one in this subdivision until 2017. So if they come back next month, it'll go through Plan Commission and you guys as well.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I will look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Number 13, Solid Waste Management Grant for Engineering and Construction of Landfill Cell Number 6. Resolution number 1513. I suppose we're cramping your style. You'd normally be out fishing about now.
Yeah, they're biting too.
I think, Mike, I'll look for a motion and a second for discussion purposes. Motion by Don, second by Mike. All right, if you want to give us a little update on this, Mike?
Yeah, landfill cell number 6 is currently under final design and is scheduled to be constructed next year, so I wanted to start the process of applying for a grant to help fund the project. So that's why we have Resolution 1513 on the agenda tonight. It authorizes the mayor to sign all the necessary grant-related documents. The next deadline for these applications is July 1st, 2015, so I wanted to make that deadline.
Any questions for Mike? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 14, authorization for the mayor to sign a white goods recycling agreement from M&C Recycling. This is something that we've done on a normal annual basis. So I will look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Bruce, second by Bill. Any questions that you have for Mike on this?
M&C, the same company we've been using, Mike?
No, quite a few people have gone out of this business in the last few years in a rough market. M&C is new to us. They're located in Kranzberg, and they've been recycling metal over there for 8 years. They've got a mobile baler, and they're currently getting certified to do the freehand removal for us. So they're fairly local.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 15, Mike, consideration change order number 2 final to the contract with Automatic Systems Company for the SCADA replacement project, decreasing the contract amount $1,618. I will look for a motion and a second for discussion. Motion by Beth, second by Russ. Any questions, or you want to fill us in a little bit, Mike?
Yeah, the deduction is a result of requiring one less router on the project. We were able to salvage one of the existing ones that was new enough and use it, so that's the deduction. It reduces the total contract value to $261,441. So at this point, we're $51,700 under budget, but probably have one more payment to make on engineering services, so we're looking real good on the project.
Perfect. Any questions for Mike on this? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, thanks, Mike. Number 16, request for funding from the Urban Renewal Board for an uptown charrette. And I think you folks had talked about it a little bit, hadn't you? Sure.
We discussed it at Urban Renewal. We discussed it last time we met in work session, so we got the approval through work session to bring it forward.
All right, what I'm going to do now is I will look for a motion and a second for discussion purposes.
So moved.
Motion by Randy, second by Beth, and I'll turn the floor over to you two gals.
All right, thank you. As Randy said, we met with the Urban Renewal Board and also 2 weeks ago at the work session about an uptown charrette. And so we come now before you for formal approval. And if there's any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them.
For a viewing audience, you might want to explain what that is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Design charrette, basically it's an opportunity to bring the community together, helping to focus goals and ideas for Uptown, and also to kind of get everybody on the same page and same direction for moving forward with projects Uptown and what the community wants to see done and happen. So it basically consists of a workshop. Different community members are going to be involved, and the Urban Renewal Board will be a big part of the steering committee and who's kind of leading the efforts and that sort of thing. And can range from a day to a 2-day event, and it'll be hopefully here in the scheduling wise, we're hoping to around the fall, so August, September, while the weather is still good and we can get out and do a tour and still have some sunshine. anything you want to add?
Is there anything you want to add, Joe?
Only
Had to be
the,
hard not to say something.
Safe and
already.
attractive neighborhoods and business districts totally supports, the H2O initiative supports this, the leadership, and we'll work wholeheartedly with them and assist in any way that we can to make sure that it's a successful endeavor.
Joe, can you give us a breakdown of the funding, what you're actually, the urban renewal is granted $3,000?
That's correct.
Toward the total,
That's correct.
and that's toward the total of 15,800, right?
That's correct.
So,
And just a reminder, I think we've done our due diligence. We checked with the uptown businesses. We did the walkabout in 2013. Recently, I'd say within the last month, I went back and kind of touched base with a lot of the folks, not all of them, but a lot of the folks on Kemp. And everybody was still supportive of the endeavor. We had a lot of good support in 2013 when we did that, and then none of that has changed. I think it's going to be a real nice collaborative effort to finally bring some things together. And then Beth and Shelley made application for a grant. I think that was last year. We didn't get it. And at that time, the price would have been about $14,000. There would have been a $7,000 award and then a $7,000 matching that we would have done. So I think everything's pretty much in line, and I don't see anything, way out of line with what we've been doing.
Perfect, and we would be funding this through the H2O 2020 line item, so those dollars would come out of that.
just a little bit back to originally, Lynn is actually a original Watertown resident. She is with MSH Architects out of Sioux Falls, who has worked with doing other charrettes, been very instrumental in doing a lot of work in downtown Sioux Falls, to revitalize downtown Sioux Falls. Maybe you want to touch a little bit on that, Lynn, or?
Sure. This will be an effort by mostly myself and another gentleman in our office, Bob Natz, and he's come with a lot of experience, both his work in California with many charrettes just like this in small towns up and down the coast, and then also in Sioux Falls itself. And he's very active in the Sioux Falls downtown community, and so we'll be bringing that kind of expertise and knowledge and stuff up here to Watertown.
If you remember, right about a year and a half ago, or maybe even close to 2 years ago, Lynn did give us a presentation on kind of the vision of what Uptown could look like, and that's where we've got a lot of our ideas and a lot of great feedback from a lot of people, and that's why we've been able to move forward with some of the projects. So I'm kind of excited about it. Visiting with one of the gentlemen that was very instrumental in the sculpture walk downtown Sioux Falls, he said that was really a huge point of their revitalization of downtown. Now we've got that step in place. I'm just really kind of excited about seeing it move forward. So
I think one of the things that I really like about the way we've got the charrette and the committee and the stakeholders set up is that now this is no longer just a little itty bitty Watertown project or Uptown project. This is now a Watertown project. You've got stakeholders from the entire H2O group and the entire community saying, yep, this is the way we want to see our heart of our city look. And I've always known that a successful city has to have a successful heart. So we're excited about this.
Having that said, I'm wondering, because I've sat in on that Uptown board now for quite a while, I'm wondering with all the ideas that are coming forth, if it wouldn't behoove us just to pay for this rather than, there are plenty of dollars that the Urban Renewal Board can spend, once these things happen. And Shelley made the comment that we do have the money set aside for this H2O stuff. And for $3,000, that might go a long ways with the Urban Renewal Board, but probably won't make too much difference in the funds that we had made available. So I would maybe even recommend that we just pay the whole thing rather than, because it is a citywide venture that we're doing here.
In the ones that you've been involved with or are aware of in the past, you know, you get this charrette, which is a vision of what it could be. But how do you get all the ownership group down there, the people that own these properties, to buy into this?
Yeah.
What if they don't? Now you got a vision
Yeah.
with lack of participation of actually fulfillment, I guess.
Her husband carries a gun.
Brother-in-law.
Oh, I'm sorry, her brother-in-law carries a gun.
You don't want my husband carrying a gun.
Okay.
There's a couple different, I shouldn't say there's different ways. I think there'll be different ways you can approach it. For instance, Sioux Falls has done a facade easement approach in the past where the city has purchased the facade and has done the work to upgrade it or to revitalize it or restore it, and the business owner owns everything inside their building. So that's something, a solution that has been good for Sioux Falls. I don't think that's the only option. I think there's other ways of going about it. I know the Urban Renewal Board has grants that they offer. I think it's a way, possibly expanding on those grants and giving people the right direction as to what to do and how to do it. And I know funding for individual businesses has been a big issue, getting people to upkeep their buildings just because of lack of funds. It's a big problem and a solution that.
And I think with this and basically what it does is it identifies the stakeholders, the people that want to be involved and people that want to move forward. And I think it also opens up some other doors possibly for some future grant dollars. I don't think with this, with this not in place, I think we're not opening up a few of those doors. So.
Perfect. So what we're looking for, Dan, if you wanted to amend the motion, is that what they would do? To have the entire fund by H2O 20? Would it be Dan that would make the motion?
I would make a motion to amend it that we would pay the extra $3,000 and make it a $15,800 expenditure out of the money that's been set aside by the city already.
For H2O, from H2O.
The H2O fund, H2O fund.
Okay.
Second that?
Yes. Okay. Oh, you want to?
I'll rescind my original motion and go with Dan's.
Okay. All right, I'm good with that.
Are you ready for questions?
Do I have to take mine back, or can I still second his?
Shelley, how much of the money that we allocated for the H2O dollar or projects have we used so far?
Off the top of my head, around 5,000, I think we've spent.
Okay. And what did we budget, 100?
100.
We put in 100. Yeah. So we should be in good shape. We got a couple of signs we're getting made for our new project up in the northeast, but that'll be used out of that also.
To speak a little bit to your point, Mike, too, $3,000 can go a long way for us from an urban renewal perspective in order to get some cost sharing and some other types of things, or even application grant fees, so this is a good thing for everybody. I think it's a win-win. So appreciate the council voting for that.
Yeah. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And I
Yes.
apologize for calling Ryan your husband.
That's okay. Yeah.
I'll probably get tased on the way out of here. Who knows? You'll have it as your phone ringer too. Okay. Compose myself here. Number 17, authorization for mayor to sign an amendment to the EPA grant agreement extending the closing date for a period of 1 year for the Upper Big Sioux Watershed Project. Roger, if you want to come up and give us a little explanation, but I will look for a motion as second for discussion on this. Motion by Russ, second by Randy. Okay.
As it's written, it's pretty self-explanatory. Over the past 3 years, we had a budget amount of money set aside for ag waste systems. We have not been able to spend that money on ag waste systems, so we've come towards the end of our grant period. We want to extend for yet another year, use the money that we couldn't use for that, and use it for other things, specifically for the riparian area management programs that we promote. So
Can you
we'll keep going until we spend all the money, and we don't want to give any back.
Can you explain riparian?
Riparian area is those areas that lie along the Big Sioux River and its major tributaries. With the RAM program that we use, we'll buy an easement from a landowner. Most of the time it's to exclude all animals from that area. Gives the banks a chance to heal up and the grass to get growing again. We've been playing with a seasonal RAM so that the animals can't be in there during the long hot months, so that they're not standing in the water and doing that thing that they do as soon as they step in. But they can utilize it for hay or during the cooler months when they're not standing in the water itself. Does that pretty much cover it? I can ad nauseum if you like.
No, that's fine. Between you and Mike, I always feel a lot smarter when I leave these meetings, so.
Any other questions for Raj?
Roger, you weren't indicating, though, that we're wasting the money. We are, in fact, doing appropriate things with it. When you said, well, we want to spend it, we don't want to give it back, we really do have legitimate needs for it.
Yes. Yeah. The program does give us opportunities to change things. When one practice isn't working or we can't sell that practice, we can go through an amendment like this and allocate that money for something else. The riparian practice is very efficient and it does a great deal for water quality, getting those animals out and letting that grass grow up as filter strips and buffers along the river.
Okay, any other questions for Raj? Hearing none, I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, consideration of bids received for the 3rd Avenue Storm Sewer Project. What I would like to do also, Ray, I'd like to put a couple of pictures that we can take a peek at. I'm going to look for a motion and a second for discussion on this. Motion by Bruce, second by Don. This here particular project came about to us because the municipal utilities, and when he puts the picture up, you'll see where we're talking about. This is on 3rd Avenue and Highway 81. The utilities is going to put a new gas line all the way from 81 to, they think maybe within a block of the school, to the high school. And the reason being that they're going to do that is that they've had breakage the last couple of years and they have had to dig that up during the winter time. So they've gone out for bids. What was then included in that bid is that we actually tried to take care of the north side of 3rd Avenue there by Highway 81. That's been a horrible road, and we can't really keep it up to snuff because of the water. It just sits there. It doesn't drain. So what we did is we actually asked if we could piggyback onto their bidding process and put this as an alternate. The alternate came in at about, what, $25,000 some odd dollars. You just had that up there. But what it will do is we will actually crown the road substantially better so we can use that when we put in new storm sewer on the north side there, it'll crown so the water goes in and uses the storm sewer rather than just laying there on that particular side. And you can see on the crown on that bottom one, a lot of the water towards the middle of the street then just flows over to the north side. I'm sorry, to the south side of the street. So we want to correct that that particular problem. So we will actually put in new storm sewer on the north side of 3rd Avenue, and that's what the plan is.
What part of the budget does this come from?
We have dollars aside for projects like this set in the engineering department. I'm not sure exactly where, how, but I know that when we had that discussion, they were there.
Miscellaneous storm sewer projects. I think there's $100,000 that gets budgeted each year for different smaller miscellaneous storm sewer projects, and it would come out of that budget.
This will fix a problem that we've had for years on that street, and everybody complains about it. It feels like you're driving through another part of town in the southeast hitting all these bumps. So We do have the engineer's estimate of $28,590. The AP and Sons construction estimate came in from out of Summit for $25,235.75. I would recommend that we accept that bid and get that fixed alongside with the utilities when they put in their gas line.
Well, I'm glad, Mayor, to see that happen. This area, this stretch of road on the east side of 81 has just been terrible. And matter of fact, I drove by it the other day and I was gonna come talk to you again about trying to get something to figure out how we get that fixed. But, you know, this is obviously a part of the solution, and I think it's a good decision for us to move forward with that.
Perfect. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We accept the
Motion
bid
by
from A&P.
Randy. Second by Mike. Is there any other questions that I can answer for you on this?
The only
We're
question
gonna
I
go deep on this, aren't we? Because that whole substructure's gotta be redone, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll go pretty much all the way on that one picture you've got up there, Ray. It will go all the way to the corner, because we're going to actually, when you go, yeah, the bottom corner comes actually one block to the east. We'll actually tie into the east side there and have that. There'll be a drain on that east corner and one towards the middle and then on the end. So it will be well drained.
But I mean, in terms
of the
in
road
terms
itself.
of how, we're gonna go down to the base structure on this, because that.
Oh, absolutely. That will all be totally taken out and redone. It'll be a very nice road. Because we do have to do some grading, like I said, to get the crown to move the water to the north and not have it carrying to the south and get it draining correctly.
What is the time frame for
This is gonna happen in, gosh, I hate to say it, but within the next couple of months. You know, we've got enough going on some road construction, but this is dearly needed.
Before school starts?
Oh, yes, we'll have it prior to school. Because the utilities wants to get that done before school starts with their gas line.
Mayor, it is a gas line?
Water line.
This is, no, they're putting in gas.
I thought they were
And
putting
since
in
they're-
water.
I'm sorry, the water line, yes, they're putting in water. I'm sorry, I was sitting next to Bruce here. He's been eating weird stuff up north, that's all I'm saying. No. So anyhow, it is water line, and the water lines were breaking, and they're gonna get those taken care of this summer. It's getting pretty bad. So anyhow, I say we get this done. It's a great project, and it's been needed for a long, long time, and the water lines will get replaced all the way from 81 to the school, and we'll get this all fixed up. Sorry about that. Any questions? You knew what I meant, absolutely.
It's a water line.
Okay. I'll look for council action. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under old business, I do have some things I wanted to just mention about. We do have a Highway 212 meeting tomorrow night. What time does that start, Don?
5:30, fourth floor, LATI Student Center.
This is something that we're working on. You know, Don has been instrumental in kind of moving this forward. They had the issue in Rapid City where they did a lot of road replacement, a big job out there, and it went extremely smooth once they got everybody on board. So what our goal is that we can get a group together that can kind of spearhead this for Highway 212 when it comes 2019 and 2020 for the new construction on that. I also wanted to give a little update on the 19th Street. We did close 19th Street and 14th Avenue today. Yeah, it's kind of a difficult situation to get in and out of that area right now, but it is accessible. That's going very well. On the north side, it's a major reconstruction. On the south side, when we get to that, it'll just be a milling and overlay. The roundabout, I was up there today, I got yelled at. Yeah, no kidding. I seen the gate was open, so I'm driving in. There's people yelling, get out of here, get out of here, get out. So I said, forget it. So I pulled the mayor's card out, and I went up there, and I said, I'm paying for this project with the help of 10 other people. So they were very, they were very nice to me at that particular time. So anyhow, that's going very well. They've got the sidewalks in on the north side. They put in the walking path sidewalk. That's about 10 foot wide. That's all concrete. It's looking extremely nice. On the south side, they have the sidewalks in, and they are also planning on in the next day or so putting in the curb. They'll be working on the street itself and getting that compacted in to the specifications that the city has done. The engineers are actually testing that so that we know that the base is what we had intended. So that is, that's coming around. They actually have, I believe it's the ending date of, don't quote me on this, but I think July the 10th or July 15th, they have to be done with their contract.
Mayor, what's going to be in the middle of that? I've been asked that as to.
Mayor,
No, we're gonna have a
Statue
statue
of Steve.
of Bob Fane. So Bob, if you're looking, we're gonna need a picture of you.
That's gotta be on the radio.
Lead story.
Yeah, we've got all these artists, you know, that do the art walk. We could just have them, you know, cast him on there. It'll work out great. So I'm not sure what's gonna be on there yet.
It's gonna be pretty open. It's just gonna be pretty
Yeah.
flat there. On a bigger roundabout, they'll sometimes put some structure in there or bushes, what have you. Part of that is so you don't get distracted by all the traffic coming your way. But this is a single lane roundabout. It'll be pretty flat.
I think, you know, that was in the original discussion on that too, also being the location where it's at and the northerly winds that we normally get. We didn't want it piling in there, so that was part of the original reason why I wanted to be flat, so.
Can I bring just a thought? Because I came in from the north today on the 19th. Is it possible, could we put some sort of signage up for a detour? If you come in, because you know, we were kind of guessing how we were going to get around that, and we obviously did. But if you know the neighborhood, you got a pretty good chance. If you don't, could be an issue. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think the contractors on it, is the DOT is handling this. I thought they had.
Right. Yeah, Clark Engineering did the design, and DOT, I think, is handling all the inspection and traffic control, I believe.
So they will put some detour signs up, perhaps, to get.
I'll have to look into that, Bruce.
Okay.
I'm not sure right
Thanks.
now.
Thanks.
I think they should. I think that's a good idea.
And the center of the roundabout, I do believe they're talking about a 3-foot high mound, by the way, on that. That's, I think, what one of the engineers mentioned. I hadn't seen the plans, but. So.
Good. So then I also wanted to, thanks, Rob. That's very good. A couple other things that I wanted to touch base with you guys under old business. We do have some dollars that we looked at on our two projects that we have coming up, the ice and the softball. As you know, we have been going and talking about these different projects. Currently, what the current estimate is on the ice complex, and this is just a rough estimate so far. It's not in stone or anything like that. There could be some changes. Would be coming in at $8.3 million. That would include the parking, everything needed. We eliminated some roads that come in on the north side. We thought we could still come in on the east side, you know, the road that goes by the Anza soccer fields. We could have an in and out on that particular side, and it would also go into the softball diamonds. The softball diamonds are currently coming in at $5.8 million. That does include a contingency of $250,000, so I would assume that will go down somewhat as we move forward. Now, the ball diamonds, of course, has 5 diamonds on it. It does have the center diamond, or I'm sorry, the center complex for concessions and things such as that. So just to give you an idea on that, we really do need to get moving on the ball fields. I feel as though if we don't get started on that this particular year, we'll be moving into the year 2018 before we can actually play on the fields. So if we get going on that, it would be 2016 before the fields would actually be able to use. So my suggestion is that we get going on that. They've all been approved to through the council level to get this done, but I would like to take the softball fields out for bids right away to get a hard number for us. If you guys are okay with that, I'll move forward on that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so we're going to move forward on the softball for get hard estimates. I'm going to hold off just a little bit on on the ice complex until we can get this one under our belt and get going on it. So we covered the ice, the softball. The ice now, just to give you an idea, one of the conversations has been the way the building was laid out with 2 sheets of ice, with the center being where the beams come up. You know, we have our retaining wall or the wall in the middle. The construction folks actually thought, well, if you went with a bigger building, 3 sheets, the building would be the same price. Now, you could leave the one actually empty, or you could actually put concrete down and not have it as ice, but have it more of a something for skating, you know, roller skating and things like that. So that's kind of one of the things that I'll be bringing forward to you as we get closer to numbers on the ice, and see if it's something that we're interested in at all. We might not be, but it's something they're throwing out, saying for the same price of a building, you can have something substantially nicer. One of the sheets could be just concrete. So it's a thought process. Any questions on that? Anything that you want to throw at me and say, no, it's a stupid idea, or yeah, let's carry out on it?
The only thing, and Steve, you and I have talked about this, is what we're going to do with the old complex. You know, there were some discussions about a field house, perhaps we would use it for that. You know, that might be a possibility, but I think we better decide what we're going to do with the old facility before we consider adding on to our plan at this time.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. And I think the Park and Rec, you know, when you take a look at the field house they currently have, they've been taken by surprise. It's literally has been full constantly. You know, they are renting out and they're doing a lot of things out there. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, John, did you bring those pictures for the golf course? I'd like to touch base on the golf course. As you guys know, there's been a lot of conversation going on and about in the community about our how poor shape our golf course is. And I would tend to disagree. I would tend to disagree with some of the comments that have been made. You know, we've had a extremely cold spring. The grass isn't growing quite like you would like it to be done. Maybe you guys could put some of these up front. You hear comments about, oh, Aberdeen, they got the greatest golf course. Well, here's a picture of Aberdeen's course. Lee Park, Aberdeen. It's kind of ugly. I don't see anything that ugly on our courses out here on our municipal. I think Todd's done a great job for the weather. In fact, I wouldn't even put that back on there. I wouldn't even play that one, would you? Yeah, I'd drive to Watertown. Forget that. Okay, if you'll show a little bit about Brookings then. You know, you often hear about Brookings. Well, look at that. We don't have that in Watertown either. I was out there last weekend or in the middle of the week, just driving around. I didn't golf. All you know, I'm not a golfer, but Chris and I took a little spin around. We had dinner out there, and we took a spin around the course. I thought our course really looked pretty darn nice. They were at that particular time putting the sand over top of the greens, and they had the new knives, you know, that machine with all those 12-inch knives that we bought last year. It's pretty cool. They go extremely slow, and they dive that in there and put the sand in. Show us some more, Tim. Another course or another shot of Brookings. That's one of the greens at the. Now this is the country club, mind you. This isn't their muni. I think we just have to realize it's been a really tough year to. It's been a tough year to really get our courses looking like we would like to see, but we're on the right path. We've overlaid some of the seating in the fairways. We're working on the greens. We are going to close Yellow down, you know, come the end of July, first part of August. That will have a total renovation. Those greens have been there since I believe the 40s. Is that what they said, Mike? 1940s? Yeah, I think it's time. Those nanottoads are going to be, yeah, it's wrinkling. So anyhow, that's a good one. So anyhow, we're moving forward with this, and I think we have the right people at our golf course that are doing the proper job. I think Jay has been out there working diligently with Todd. Todd puts in tons of hours. You got Jeff that is has been at the golf course now for nearly 18, 20 years. These people are professionals in their job duties, and I think it shows when you look at what these other courses have and what we have. I'm pretty proud of these. Any comments about them?
Yeah, being you don't golf, I want to know who you made go take these pictures. How bad you had to twist their arm.
Actually, what we have here is an advantage because John, his daughter, is quite a golfer, and they travel all over, and he was taking pictures of these golf courses. So it's, I didn't have to twist an arm at all. Any comments?
I think very similar to our course. These courses may have changed a lot in the last 2 weeks. You know, rain, warm rain, and a little bit of heat has changed our course. You know, we could have found some pictures similar to that 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I played there a couple of times last week, and our course has changed dramatically because it does look very nice now. Introspection is not you know, you look at it just playing and going out there is one thing. I suppose if you wanted to really critique all the stuff, you could find things, but our course has really changed. It looks very nice.
I think so, and I think when you sit down and you visit with Levi and Todd, they both have the interest of our golf course in heart, and I think it's going very well. So I just wanted to show you that, and I just wanted to update you on anything. Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up in old business? Oh, one more thing. I had a chance to go up on Cherry Drive today, and we've had a, we've been fighting a battle up on Cherry Drive now for, going on 4 or 5 years that I can recall. I've been up there a number of times. We had our old city engineer up there at times. Today I was up there and walked through a lot of that area on Cherry Drive, and I had Rod DeYoung with me. And Rod said, basically, folks, you have 3 options. And you have to remember the city bought that property in mind for water retention, from water coming down, and this is how we're going to move it through that whole area through Cherry Drive and on south, and then it eventually goes into Willow Creek Drive, or Willow Creek itself. So Rod said the 3 things that you can do is, one is you can do nothing, or, well, there's 4 things, because I'll put Roger's plan on there. You were here at the last work session, or 2 weeks, a month ago already, isn't it? And you showed us the different types of grasses that could be used. So we have that option in there also. The third option would then be to put a concrete drainage way all the way through there. Now, that's not going to stop the water. There's always going to be some water in the concrete drive. You would see that. The fourth way is to tile it on, probably what we were looking at is the south side of the creek itself, or the waterway. He feels as though that would dry that up, and it would allow water not standing. You're still going to have some rushes. You're still going to have that look, and you can see it right there. This has been intended to hold water forever, and that's why the city bought that property. So I just want to get an idea from you folks. We really need to get going on this, and I think we should consider this in our engineering budget for next year, and I would like to put this in our capital project. Whether we use tiling, whether we use concrete, whether we use grass, and a combination of both, which I think probably would work better. I think you get that grasses that Roger had along with the tiling. This could be a very nice looking spot. But I think there's something, we have to get an estimate. I know that the concrete, and talking with the engineer today, he said it's about $30 a foot. That's a lot of dough for some concrete. If you do the tiling, it's substantially less. He didn't have that particular number for us, but my recommendation would be for us to go out and get some bids and get some ideas of what it would cost to get that machinery to get in there and put the tiling in. That way, and one other thing that we would have to look at is if we do the tiling on the south side of it, that wouldn't allow us to tap into those houses for their sump pumps. If we put the tiling in on the north side, Am I getting it on the correct way here? That's the north. We don't want to go, I don't think we want to go north. He thought we should, but if we go to the south side, it would allow us to hook up their sump pumps to go right into that tiling system, which would then just move it down. It wouldn't be sitting around there in that whole waterway. Any thoughts on that? I'm open for thoughts on this thing.
Well, Mary, you know that this has been something for 4 years that, since I've been on the council, that have been involved in, and there's no question that I think we need to do something. I think this goes from 14th all the way down to 10th, and so that it spills into that open way that's south of there. But the question I have, would you contemplate putting the tile all the way that whole distance to get it out of there?
I think we should. I think you go the whole distance, and then you're able to hook up every one of those houses that are on that side with their sump pumps, because they're constantly running out there.
Okay, so you'd still have a waterway through there, a very pronounced waterway, and then, but the tile would help get the water out of there quicker than what it's doing now.
Yeah, it should, according to Rod, it should really be, you know, it's not gonna be standing water, but it'll be enough water that you are gonna have some of that rushes that are still there and some of those natural grasses. And I think with Roger's idea to put those grasses in there, it would help us out a bunch.
There are some other issues because of the bike path that is there, that it's, in essence, it's created dams.
It has.
And so we've got other work that would have to be done in some manner to help alleviate the problem, but.
It would. Now, the engineering firm told me that they would do all the engineering for us at no charge. They feel as though some of the issues have happened up from the northeast part of it, you know, where we've taken water and moved it over into here, more water than we had ever anticipated. So they would engineer this at no cost for us. And I do believe you take a look at the walking path. There's sides of the walking path on the west side that really don't drain very well to the east. So we need to actually make sure that we have those little culverts or something in there that'll take the water from that west side of the walking path to the east. I say let's get something done on it, and we'll get some estimates on it and get that also in the CIP for the engineering department.
I think we should get a plan together and see what the estimates are and get it in. Yep.
I would add to that, and Mike and I both have taken several calls on this. It might help. The biggest concern has been, again, standing water. If this summer, if we did something, maybe just spent a trip or two over there with, I don't know, for fog that, or you put some of the stuff so the standing water doesn't become a mosquito breeding ground. I think that's one of the big concerns.
I would agree. We have those, is it pellets or something that we can throw out there, and it should really help them substantially. Most of the folks, you know, when you talk to them, they don't mind seeing the rushes and they don't mind seeing those tall grasses. They just don't like the standing water. Yeah.
Mayor, are we gonna still have the neighborhood type meeting to try to?
I think we should.
I think you need to, because there's very definitely a difference of opinion on what this area should be and what it should look like. And I think that is important part of this. The outcome in the end is important, but getting to that so that people understand what it was intended for, what it's, from a city standpoint, you know, what it can be. You know, the water is just one issue, but I think we do need to do that. And I think that should be certainly a part of our planning process so that those individuals that live up there can be a part of that.
I would agree, and I think that Rod DeYoung from Austin Engineering would be more than willing to come up and visit with us with that entire neighborhood, because it's not just one side, it's both sides of those that the folks are having issues with.
I'd like to see Roger up there too when they do that. I thought Roger's presentation was a great presentation. Your ideas were...
Bring the good grass, Roger.
Yep, bring the good grass. So.
Did Rod indicate what size of a tile he thought was going to take?
He didn't say, no. He didn't indicate what it would be. I think at that time, if we do tile it, we want to make sure that the folks have an opportunity. If they want to hook in with the sump pumps, they could do that. It would just make sense.
Yeah, I know through the back of some of that not River Ridge, but some of Conrad, last edition, they put, I think they made him put a tile in the back of there, and then people can hook into that. And this part of town, I think that would be, I guess I would be in favor of that solution as opposed to, concrete's not going to be a good idea, I don't think. besides the cost, I just don't think that's gonna be a good idea.
Okay, I don't think I have any more in old business. I just want to touch base on those things. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up?
Any update on the road we talked about up on Willow Creek? Putting that road in up in
Oh, can you put that up, Tim? That would be East Park Drive. And I have a quick question for some of you on that.
You just want the picture, or do you want me to try and find the plat?
No, that's okay. That's fine right there. Don was asking about the East Park Drive, you know, anything going on, and that goes right straight across there, kind of bounces on 26th Street. What we're looking at right now is we've been getting a number of different drawings from the Morris property and from the Coho property. Those folks are working hand in hand very good. What we're seeing is that the one on 23rd Street where Mr. Endress put in 8th Avenue, we kind of stuck with that one, you know, because that road is in there. We have to tie onto that somehow. Sarah, our city engineer, has no issue about where the road goes on north and south and inside of this whole project, as long as 8th Avenue hooks up someplace on one of those streets. There has to be an in and an out on this particular project, and we cannot disregard, you know, the Endress's 8th Avenue. We have to hook somewhere onto that, and also the Austin Engineering is working very closely with that, and we had that discussion. They're bringing this forward now to the plating area. Yeah, put that back up, Tim. That was okay. You know, on 8th Avenue that comes through, Lot 6 has been sold. There's another lot. I'm looking at the numbers there. 1 or 2 is ready to go, and then across the street on that outlot to the north, left, a little more, right there. There's a very large store looking at purchasing most of that particular area, and we've had discussion with them. In fact, we had discussion with them at the Recon, which was an incredible visit with those folks that have retail stores and restaurants. So what you're looking at is if you go to 8th Avenue and we take 26th Street up, we can go anywhere with 26th. If there's going to be a stoplight there, which the DOT isn't sure yet, they've done the traffic study. That should be done here on the 5th of June. And once we understand that traffic study, they're going to tell us if they want to put a stoplight on 23rd and 26th. Currently, they're looking at 23rd, but what we're feeling is that 26th is probably going to be a busier street than 23rd Street, which if you put a stoplight there, you can have traffic go straight north up to Willow Creek Drive without having to worry about them just trying to cross Highway 212. So if you have the light, it stop them, you know, and you can get across much easier. And it'd be nicer to come out of the Culvers and that particular area with a stoplight also. So that's kind of where we're going. And as soon as we get the traffic study done, which is on June the 5th, we will be bringing that forward to the council to see if you have an appetite to help get that build that road to East Park up to 26th Street, and then have them pay it back as the lots get sold with a sunset on that particular deal. And this is only being done because I actually asked these folks if we can't get them all working together, and this was a way that we kind of worked this out. It's going to be great for Watertown. Any questions? I'd love to answer any you got, if I have them.
26th is the one that's going to need the culvert replaced, right?
That's correct.
Or repaired or
Yeah,
whatever.
There's 2 culverts in there right now, and I believe they're 42 feet, and we have to have 60 feet is what we need on. So we just need to widen it out a little bit.
and nobody knows where the state's gonna be, but just from my perspective, it seems like that the intersection that needs the street light because of the traffic to past Culver's to Walmart. And then if that's the case, then it would seem that that road would extend to Willow Creek and the one from Andrews would someplace tie in. It doesn't, then we don't have to worry about an intersection there. They could actually be an offset intersection.
That's exactly correct.
And it seems like that's the best way, hopefully, but, you know, I think at this point, we gotta wait and see what the state decides they're gonna do.
Yeah, and the state, we've talked to them. We also have HDR, I believe, is the firm that is handling the work with the traffic study, and they're also working with the state on this and with the stoplight. And their feeling is that right now it's going to need a stoplight at that corner. And I think that would be great for that area. So then, like I say, that 26 would just bounce right straight up to Willow Creek Drive. 8th Avenue, which Cohos would be willing to pay for half of it when they go straight to the north on 26th. They'll pick that up, and then wherever 8th Avenue hooks on to the Morse property, we don't care, as long as it comes in there and it works for them. Sarah has been just really good about drawing in different roads and giving these folks different ideas, and it's looking really, really nice. So we'd be proud of that area. Any questions? You probably didn't expect me to ramble so long. All right. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, if I can at least update, I don't know if we want to make a decision tonight or not, but on the fines for the parking, we met and the conclusion was that the street parking fines would be the $25 consistent with what the other street parking is, and that's a $25 per day. And the the other issues, that would include somebody that's got their vehicle extended out over the sidewalk, because that becomes a safety issue, so that can, and that's over public property, so they would treat that as a parking issue. Once there's a parking problem as far as their camper or boat or whatever is back far enough on the side yards or placement or how many, that becomes a different issue. And we're putting that in the same place they do with issues about junk and things like that, and that's a $135 fine. That sounds like a lot of money, but the building officials are going to work with people, give them an opportunity to get things taken care of before it gets to the fine stage. And it's when they just aren't getting any results and people aren't cooperating, then they'll turn it over to the PD. And part of that, Tim Toomey requested that Ken Bokoltz, the building official, come talk to the officers and have a discussion about any questions they have on the ticketing. And then I see, Lee, you're here. I would like to see, I think from my perspective, as you start doing that, if there's some ambiguity as far as not sure about how something is, bring that back to us. And if we need to tweak anything on the ordinance to make that clear, so we want this to be as clear as can be. If you have any questions since that time, that's something that you're not sure about, I guess I'd let you address that too, so. So anyway, rather than change the whole ticket process that they've had, that'll come back through the regular fines and fees at our regular meeting. If we could just do some type of an addendum that just says those two things, that would be the process. And anybody that's got any questions on that needs to, call and check and see if they're uncertain about things. And I think that initially the concept is the PD will go out and first knock on the door and tell people, this isn't right, move your vehicle. And then after, if that doesn't happen, then the tickets will start coming out.
Yeah, and we've been getting a lot of complaints lately with campers, so we need to start doing that. And we've gone through the whole process.
So I don't know, Stan, would it be appropriate? Is there some type of motion I could make tonight that we could deal with, or do we need to wait and put it on to our next council meeting for?
You could I guess we're almost to the time where we're going to adopt a new fee and bond schedule. I explained to you folks what that is before. Typically, we do that in July, send it down to the presiding judge, it gets entered as an order. So if you have an amount that you'd like to include for the various offenses based on the ordinance.
And through our conversation, Tim's gonna get somebody and they're gonna review that fine schedule. Some $15 ones we thought should be 25, but we weren't gonna get into that. But if we could approve some type of amendment to that tonight so that they at least have the authority to go ahead and ticket.
And typically, what I do is bring the fee and bond schedule to you folks for approval each year. So maybe the appropriate thing to do is recommend that amount. I'll bring the fee and bond schedule to you, and you'll approve that as part of the overall schedule.
Okay, so the recommended amount then is the $25 for the street parking, and the $135, which falls under two different ordinances. The other one's under 21 something, and the parking's 18 something. Is whichever if you can get those taken care of for another meeting. Then.
Is everybody okay with those fees? 25 and 135. Okay.
That just stays the same as we've been on other things. It doesn't set a special fine just for those things.
Two questions on this. First of all, Lee, has the police force been trained on the new ordinances? Are they ready to go with that?
Well, as we kind of mentioned, Ken is going to come over and go through this ordinance with us because it was a 2-year process to draw this up. Right now, we're just going to take care of the campers and the trailers on the street. We know how to do that. We've been doing that already. We used to mark them 24 hours. Now we're just going to go and ask them to move them. And what we did is we printed off a bunch of copies of the ordinance and we highlighted those areas and we're handing them to them. And we talked with quite a few today, and they all understand it, and they all moved them pretty much within half a day. So that's kind of our plan going forward, is to visit people, give them a copy of the ordinance. If it continues to be a problem, then at that point we'll go with the $25 fine.
Thank you. Also, the second part was there was a little bit of confusion, I think, at the last meeting as to when this ordinance actually takes place. And if I'm not mistaken, is it 20 days after the second reading and it gets approved? Stan, can you clarify that for everybody?
It's 20 days after publication, the public opinion. Yep.
So, in other words, it's in effect.
I think the 30th or 31st.
30th. It's in effect now. For
Correct.
offensive. Okay, and then, but you guys, there's a little bit of leniency. You're doing that with the education. And
Yes.
That's great. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, I want to I wanted to mention about the street dance that's going to be coming up Friday night, and to let you know what's the name, Hairball or Hair something, I don't know.
I think Hair Nation. I think
Hair Nation. Hairball. See, I wasn't so far off, was I? I read the paper. All right. Well, anyhow, this is probably going to be the loudest street dance we've ever had. That's kind of the word out there. So be prepared for some calls. And I think at that particular time, we need to make a decision whether we allow them to go till 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock or 11:30 or whatever. You know, right now, this particular dance is going to go till 1 a.m., I believe. You have officers that are prepared to be down there. I think they have hired a couple, and you have 3 or 4 that are going to be patrolling also.
Correct.
There will be just plastic containers, won't be glass unless it comes from a different bar.
Yes.
So I think we need to be aware this is going to happen this weekend. So
Friday night.
we'll go right down the line. And Bill, you want to give your cell phone number out quick? And no. I'm just
I do have a comment on that.
I'm in the phone book, and I do get called.
We've approved 3 of these, and I hope the people that run these street dances understand that if they're going to turn the volume up that loud and create and generate enough complaints, that is certainly going to decrease the odds for us doing any more or even cutting back on these. So I think the gentlemen, or the people that are running these need to be cognizant of how they run that event, because it's certainly going to affect future events.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's a good statement, Don, because there's nothing to say that you guys can't come back and after having a gazillion calls, say, you know, forget it, we're not going to do any more this year. So we just needed to be aware that that's going to happen. Have you got any comments you want to make on it?
Nope, just like you said, Steve, we've been already fielding complaints, or not complaints, issues, people concerned
Concerns.
that it's going to be loud because they're hearing more and more about the advertisement. They're doing some research on YouTube or wherever you can find out what this band is all about. And they are loud and in your face, and they say, excuse me, a lot of different types of songs, so a little bit of something for everyone, I guess.
Did we have a time as
1
part of
o'clock.
that agreement, 1 o'clock,
One
for all
o'clock.
3 of them that we approved?
That's what we approved, is 1. Now Stanton and I have also fielded some phone calls on this, that people are a little bit nervous about it. I don't believe they're gonna use our bandwagon. They're gonna bring their own stuff.
That's
and-
what I've been told, yes. They
Yeah.
have their own stage coming in.
And of course, they have to keep it within their facility, you know, and the size that is going there.
Yeah.
So, here we go. Am I going? I was thinking
would
of going.
encourage all of
think-
you to come down there for a
I think we
little
should
while
all
just
go
to see what
down
it's
and
like.
just listen to see what it's like and
Absolutely.
hear what the noise is. and-
That's Steve's vibe, you know. That's,
I'll just listen to it from over in the east side of town, so.
Well, they'll have their tasers all pumped up and ready to go, and it's going to be a great time. I got an idea how you could raise money. You could like say you get tased, pay us $25 and we'll tase you.
There you go.
Put it in your fund. Okay, any other questions? I don't think that there's any more going on that I forgot.
Mayor, when will, maybe Tim knows this, you know, now that we have enacted the ordinance change on parking, when will the Lake District be looked at?
We haven't really discussed that, Tim, but I think it should be pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I think it now needs to get brought forward and start working through that, because there's a number of issues related to that, the parking
Well,
being one of them.
not only that, I get a lot of calls and issues, you know, how come you're not doing anything at the lake? You guys are never gonna do anything at the lake, you're gonna let those guys get away with everything. Well, that's not the
Yeah,
issue,
let's,
but
let's
I
get
think we
started
need
on
to
that,
move
Tim.
forward on it, so.
They've been told that it's gonna be a year away. So we've got a year to do things.
Well, it's gonna
and
take
get
us a
ready
year
for
to,
'em.
yeah, it's gonna take us a year to put everything together. It's taken us over a year to put this one together, so.
Yeah, like 2. So Tim, if you get started on that for us, that'll be good. We'll kind of get going. Any liaison reports? Hearing none, I do have a need to go into executive session tonight. It'll be on contract talks and litigation. So I'll need a motion and a second to go in.
Second.
Motion by Bruce, second by Randy. Any quick questions? Hearing none. Any council action to go into that? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are now in executive session.